We all have a role to play in protecting our planet and ensuring a sustainable future for generations to come. Whether it's planting a tree, reducing waste, or supporting local conservation efforts, every small action makes a difference. At Treescape Planet, we believe in the power of community and the ripple effect that comes from working together. So let's continue to embrace the change we want to see in the world. And remember, the earth gives us so much, and it's our responsibility to give back. I mean, it's the least you can do. Every action counts, and together we can create a lasting change for our planet.
For nature.
For the ocean.
For people.
For animals.
Hello, SANUSPLANET community. It's so amazing that you're here again today. And I invite you to really get to know this beautiful person that is my podcast interview guest today, Bonnita Tukwatanise. And I learned this beautiful name a few minutes ago. I learned to know how to say it. And it's so beautiful. And I asked, of course, Bonnita what it means. And I let Bonnita explain what it means. First of all, welcome, Bonnita. Thank you so much for taking time to be in this podcast here. Hello and welcome in the SANUSPLANET podcast.
Thank you very much for the invite. Maggy, we like to call her Maggy, not necessarily the longer version. So I'm excited to be here personally as the program coordinator for Treescape Planet Organization. It's amazing to see how the world connects us, even if it's miles away. So I'm glad to be here and to learn more about the SANUS app, the SANUS life, and everything connected with SANUS app. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm called Bonnita, like she has mentioned. Tukwatanise, my name basically means let's work together. So
Yeah.
very beautiful meaning. I agree. Yes.
Exactly. It's a beautiful meaning. Let's work together as a name. That's awesome. I love it. So cool. And that's exactly what we are doing right now here. So we work together, sharing your beautiful inside views, what you do with your organization. In the case, if the listeners today did not yet understand who Bonnita is or what she's doing, she just said, but just for you to know, the program coordinator of the Treescape Planet Organization in Uganda. And this organization is right now in December on the voting tool. So check it out. You can vote for this organization next to the other three beautiful organizations. Check all of them out and choose who you want to vote for. And well, Bonnita, it's so cool that you're here. And I have seen on your website of Treescape Planet, I have seen a sentence that makes it quite compact to understand what you are standing for, what you do. I just will read this sentence because it's really good, and then we go and dive deep into these topics. There is written, promoting sustainable land management with the mission to make all persons of the community champions of sustainable development, with a focus on promoting afforestation, agroforestry, and reforestation. And there is, of course, a lot more written. So I will definitely share the link to your beautiful website with our community, and I will put it in the show notes so everybody can check out the link and see what Treescape Planet is standing for and doing. And Bonnita, maybe let's start with you first. You became program coordinator of this organization. Have you been from the very first moment part of this organization, or did you jump a little bit on it later? Or where? Let me know a little bit about you personally. Where do you come from? What do you do outside of this organization work, or what have you done before? How did you get there?
Thank you very much, Maggie, for the opportunity to share. Truth be told, we started up this organization with my founder. Our founder was called Gerard Senyonjo, and Gerard believed in me. He saw something in me. So he told me, please, whatever you're doing, just leave it. Just come and join me on this.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had to quit my job. Yeah, I had to quit my job and get to jump on this. So we started it from scratch. We built it, and here we are.
We
Yeah,
are.
it's been a journey. Yeah, I must say. But I'm glad to share that it's been a journey. So when I quit my job, we started up the organization. We started up everything from scratch. So I've been a part of the journey from the start, get to see what can we do, how can we do it, and how can we make it better. And we are still growing. I'm pretty sure the future is bright.
Yes, amazing. I can feel that already. You have a positive vibe, and I love that because I know, of course, also people who are all the time like grumpy and everything is going to hell and like they're like really negative. And I think like, well, this does not help us. So let's be positive and do what we can to change something in this world. And I can feel that vibe from you. So I can understand why Gerald told you quit your job and come with me and let's do something different. What was your job before? What have you done before?
Before I was into administration and accountant. I was
Okay.
an accountant, yeah, and into administration. So it's good. And personally, I was into the oil and gas sector. So they're quite different, I should say, different careers.
Yes.
So, but then with time, I had to do more learning, more reading. And of course, I think what drove me mostly has been the passion into the environment, because you get to see every day the environment is something that is not going away tomorrow. So I think that drives me every other day. With the passion, then everything just comes into place.
Amazing. Yeah, passion is something really important. And in the end, okay, oil and gas industry, we all need that. We all use that. But you probably have learned a lot of also a lot that you have seen maybe that you thought, okay, maybe I want to do something that is contributing more to building this world in a different way. So like what you're doing now also is like you make program coordination of this project, Treescape Planet. And what does that exactly mean as a program coordinator? What is your job? What are you mostly doing or focusing on? And what are the programs that you are coordinating?
Yeah, interesting. So as the program coordinator, my major role is to make sure that as Treescape Planet, we are surviving.
Yeah.
And we are surviving and we are there to last, you know. We are not here for just a short time, but here we are here for a long time, I must say. So as the program coordinator, my major role is to make sure to design and implement these programs. For example, I've worked on a few programs that I'm really glad on. But our major programs basically are planting trees. But we've done different projects, like we have done like greening Nakaseke. We're in a region here in Uganda, and then we've done inclusive tree planting, where we worked with children who have special needs, more like you can't call it a disability, but they're special needs children, and we try to align how can we bring them together also against to be a part of the environment. So my other role as a program coordinator, I monitor this project's progress, which is very important. And then I also manage the timelines and ensure the objectives of these programs are fully met and effectively achieved. And also my major other role, I look at collaborating with these different schools, the local farmers, our community groups, basically to bring them into participation of our programs, basically making sure that all our stakeholders are happy and they are ready and fully engaged to participate in our programs. And then, of course, going an extra mile to organize these tree planting events, which is one of our core area, like Maggie had mentioned in the beginning, which our mission is basically to bring together and protecting our diversity, fostering community resilience. So we are going, my major role is to make sure that these programs or these events are organized, and also going an extra mile to organize these educational workshops where we spread awareness about environmental sustainability. And then also my major role as the program coordinator is quite huge. Yeah, but I work closely with our donors, the private sector organizations, and any other stakeholders who are really happy and interested in working with us. I'm one person who leads these collaborations. And of course, I represent Treescape as an entity in these meetings, conferences, podcasts, like what we are doing right now, to raise more awareness and support our mission. And yeah, and of course, I don't work alone. Yeah, I work with a team of other members. It could be me, I'm the program coordinator, but I have other team members like Therefor, who is our conservation officer. He's so good with trees, I must say. Yeah, I have another team member called Kwagala Moses, who is our operations officer. He's usually the guy who moves around these communities, the schools, has all these contacts. So with such people on the team, they help to and of course with our team leader, on the higher end, who is our founder, Gerard Senyonjo. And we have to make sure at the end of the day we are achieving our project goals. And then, of course, at the end of the day, we have a team of volunteers whom we work with together to also make sure that we are fostering teamwork among ourselves and making sure that the project comes to life. Yes, that is it basically.
Amazing. That's a lot, huh? You have a lot on your hands. I think it's going on a lot in your mind every day, probably moving many things. But it's beautiful, it's diverse. You can change and move and do different things and see the project and support the project from different angles. That's exactly what I love also with my job. Like it's many sectors, many things that I am allowed to do. And that's beautiful. I need this diversity. You too, right? I think
It's really needed.
yeah, it's beautiful. I have seen on your homepage that you started in 2020, you started the organization, and since then you planted more than 5,370 trees already. That's just a number that is written on the homepage. Maybe you need to update it and it's already a lot more. That's possible. And it's about 40 different tree species that you planted. It's beautiful. It's really amazing. Like, how does that work? I mean, when people who are listening today, if they say, wow, we want to support this organization, we also want to help them to plant trees, how can they help you? Because I can imagine there are many, many different ways how they can help you, not just by sending money and donating, but probably a lot of other ways that they can get involved and be part of this project and support you in the ways that you need the most. What are the possibilities for everyone who's listening now from maybe Central Europe and thinks, how can I get there to help these guys?
Yes, as Treescape Planet Organization, we are still growing. Yes, we got founded in 2020, but then we got fully incorporated as an entity in 2022. So I must say we've seen it all come to life. And yes, we're still looking out for more people, more partners, more supporters. We really need them. But then we don't just need money. Money can't solve it all. But then we're also looking at people who are interested, especially in volunteering support. It's still very key. From wherever you are, you can still volunteer. Give us your skills, support us. Virtually, it's also very needed, and especially during these environmental education workshops, there are things that can be done virtually. And then we're looking at the technical support. If there is anyone who is interested in supporting us technically, we still need updates on our website, like Maggie had said. So if there is someone who is really, this is your kind of skill, yes, we still need out for such people. And then also we still need more partners, like I've mentioned, especially things to do and sponsorships, things like CSR, which is corporate social responsibility. If there are any companies out there and they're really ready to fund or co-brand tree planting events with us, education, environment education campaigns or community programs, we are here for you. Yeah, we can work together, co-brand, and we'll bring these activities to life. And then also, if there are also any entities that are ready to create probably eco-friendly product campaigns, we are open also to that. And of course, all proceeds in that line will help to support Treescape Planet initiatives. We are open to that. And then also going an extra mile, if there are people who are interested into advocacy and awareness. For example, someone can host us for webinars, talks, exhibitions. We are open to all that. And then of course, going an extra mile to the in-kind donations. If per se someone is willing to purchase land for us, I mean, that is ready to purchase land and we plant trees, we can still utilize that. We are open to that. And if someone still is ready to provide us with supplies or equipment, we can call them tree seedlings, gardening tools, protective gear, or any educational materials for community use, especially because we get to see that some people I've heard of trees and everything, but they need to know more, to learn more of how can this tree grow, how can it be nurtured. So we still need all those supplies. We are open to them. And then of course, going an extra mile, someone who is ready to provide logistics. I mean, let's say we have an event and this person says, you know what, let me provide you with some transport, probably let me give you my car, so we are still open to all those. Someone says, let me donate to your vehicle. Probably it will be helping you out to transport your volunteers, your seedlings, or even your outreach teams. We are still open to them all. Thank you.
Amazing. That sounds like a lot of opportunities, a lot of possibilities how people can help from Uganda, who are right there, but also from very much far away. Everybody can help in one way. So everybody who listens to this podcast, please check out this organization and support if you can. And in any way, even if you make a bit of publicity for the organization and talking about what Treescape Planet is doing. I have seen you also, what is very interesting, that might be also a nice topic to know for the people listening. You also work on the topic of ecotourism, means a sustainable way to travel. So how does that work, or what does that exactly mean? How does it look like? If someone wants to visit Uganda, for example, and say, hey, I would love to maybe even just, I would like to combine it, my travel experiences, seeing the world, learning about other countries and other cultures, and help these guys planting some trees directly there. How does this travel thing work, this ecotourism part? How do you involve that in your organization?
Yes, we realize as Treescape, we are like, at the end of the day, we need to generate some revenue for ourselves so that, and as a program coordinator, these are some of my initiatives looking to see that we are sustainable, like I mentioned in the beginning. So we developed the ecotourism component. Ecotourism basically, with this, we are offering a sustainable way to generate income, then raise awareness and involve our communities in environmental conservation. So basically, with this as Treescape, we integrated ecotourism into our mission to be able to promote the sustainable development that we talk about while protecting Uganda's biodiversity and cultural heritage. So with this ecotourism, someone may ask, why is it really necessary? Yes, I must tell you, it's very important to us because at ecotourism, we are looking at providing alternative livelihoods for our communities, and yet at the same time, you're reducing dependency on environmentally harmful activities. And then also we are allowing the visitors, everyone, wherever you are from, it could be Europe, it could be, wherever you're from, to be able to learn about Uganda's unique ecosystems and conservation efforts. And then also going an extra mile that with this program, we are going an extra mile to generate funds for our reforestation programs. And then we are looking at also biodiversity protection and environmental education. And this really is something beautiful for us, because at the end of the day, we are looking, if you're having our visitors, if someone has checked out our recent posts, we just did recently an activity. We worked this with tourism companies, especially to help them incorporate the component of sustainable tourism with the planting of trees. We just had an activity, and this tourism company, they joined us to plant trees with us. They really enjoyed themselves because they enjoyed one tree planting experience. Is something that don't really done, because for us, we one of our areas of which we are so much focused on as Treescape, we have the strength in community engagement, that we have these communities already, and then the tree planting, which is our core component. So with this, we organize tours where visitors planted these trees as part of their reforestation efforts. And then we also, at the end of the day, showcase sustainable farming practices used by our local farmers on ground. Visitors can participate and learn the techniques on how to implement this even back at home. And then we are looking at also the nature walks, things like guiding our visitors through these reforested areas, explaining the ecological importance of each of these tree species. There's so many that we plant, and showcasing their restored biodiversity. And then, of course, we are giving you a feel that you're leaving a legacy at the end of the day, legacy behind, that even if you're a visitor, you're able, when you go back home, you say you contributed to our environment, you planted a tree, which is very important and so beautiful, that you can even always check back and say, I left something in Uganda and I ought to come back and probably check on my tree. How is it growing? How is it surviving? So such things, which is beautiful.
Yes, I love it. I personally am a coral propagation trainer, so I teach how to plant corals. And that's also something even farther away for the most of the people than trees, because trees we see all the time, corals you just see if you go diving. And but when people do that experience, and it's not so hard, also planting a tree, the planting thing is not the hard one, right? That's not a hard act, but it's beautiful. But like you said, then afterwards to know what does this tree need? What kind of nutrients does it need? Where should we plant it that it can also grow and has the exactly what it needs to be able to grow? This is, I think, the bit harder topic, right? So you probably, I can imagine you will also explain to people. So we plant this tree here because of that, and this tree needs more sun or more shade, or this is a fruit tree and that's why it needs this and that conditions. Is this program involving all of this? Learning session for the people who plant plant the trees as well, right? So that they get to know why are you doing it this way and so on. I can imagine that's quite that's the bigger work than the planting itself, probably, right?
Yes. That's why in the team I said I don't work alone. We have our conservation officer, like I mentioned. He's called Deo. He's an amazing person. He's so particular. He has a specialty in tree planting and forestry management. So Deo's role majorly is to make sure that these trees are growing. Yeah. So before Deo plants or make sure we identify an area, we do what we call a needs assessment in this particular community. So we have to make sure that the soil is good, the weather is good. We have to make sure that the species is the right species to be planted in that area. So that is one of those major roles as our conservation officer. So we have to identify accessible yet ecologically significant areas where we shall do this work. And then at the end of the day, we have to look back and say, okay, the area is good, the soils are good, but is the weather the right weather to plant these trees? So that's why you'll find as Treescape, we do most of our activities or events towards the end of the year. Talk about October, November, December. Reason being, we're trying to tap into the rainy season, whereby we are tapping into the rainfall season, which starts from around October, November, December, and there in the middle of January. So that even if anything was not right, if everything was put right per se, that the soils were good, the seedling was right, and the area was good, and then they were adding onto now the rainfall season. So that all brings into play that this tree at all costs it has to mature. Yeah, that it has to mature. Yeah. So we bring it all that in life. So the role mainly is to consider, we put all these into considerations, that we may not just plant anywhere we find, that we may not plant into any soils we find, that however much your area looks beautiful, but we may not plant there, even if the area is so how, but we have to put all these into considerations. Is there, if you just say you just want to plant in April, they may tell you, we are sorry, that's not a season for us to plant in, because the rainfall may not be there and it will cost you more than a lot. The watering usually, which is with the resources are not available to get this water. So let's tap into the natural rainfall, bring it all into play, and we make sure that at the end of the day, that's why we go by the slogan, plant a tree, plant a life. That at the end of the day, you're not just planting this tree, but this tree, you're nurturing it, taking care of it like a baby, from giving it all the maintenance, all the care, all the love it deserves, and then it turns out to be alive. Yeah.
That's really beautiful. Plant a tree, plant a life. That's awesome. A good sentence to say, good slogan. And how is it for the people that have never been in Uganda, me included? I was never there yet. How is the climate more or less? I mean, Uganda is not so small neither. Is the climate very? Is there a big variety? Like are there places where it's really really dry and other places where it's mostly more wet? How is it a little bit so we can imagine a little bit the country itself? And I think you are working mostly in the area of Kampala and area of the Lake Victoria, right? If I am right with that. Are there places where it's really much, much drier, and is the water topic a really big one and missing out of the rain season? How can we see that?
Yes, actually, Uganda, how do I put it? Uganda is receives rainfall per se in a year. We have 3 seasons in Uganda, and we are typically more of a tropical climate. Yeah, we are characterized by a relatively constant temperatures year round, due to we are located near the equator. I mean, so the weather is influenced by so many areas. But the major takeaway is that we have 2 seasons of the rainfall. We have one from March to May, which have the rains. We are looking at this having rainfall during this period. The vegetation is rush. The rivers and lakes are their fullest during this season. And then we also have this season that starts from September to December. This rainfall is a bit less, but then still it is significant because at the end of the day, this also prolongs for some time. But then also Uganda also has the dry seasons. Yeah, we had December to February, slight January, February, around there. It's a bit hot and dry in most areas. But then we also have then another dry season around June to August, where we have it's also a bit dry. But then also Uganda, Uganda, we are divided. I should say, I think the country is divided into different weather differences that you get to see. If you're in the central Uganda, there is moderate rainfall and humidity. Yeah, especially if you talk about things to do with around Lake Victoria, you get to see that in the central region, we have usually our temperatures are between 21 to 27 or to 30. And then if you're in the northern Uganda, talk about districts like Gulu, Kitgum, this northern region is hotter and more drier. Yes, and especially during the December or during the January, February, and March seasons, they are the mostly ones. It's very dry season. We have cases of water scarcity, which is a very true reality, that some areas you may find that there is no water for the cows, no water for the crops. So that is our northern region. And then we also have the western highlands. Talk about areas to do with Fort Portal, Kabale. Actually, Kabale, we call it, we usually call it the Europe of Uganda. Yeah, Kabale is one of those regions whereby it's cold throughout. This is an area which is cooler and wetter. Frequently, by the way, it has a lot of mist and rainfall in higher altitudes. This is the one area which produces the apples here in Uganda, that if you grow apples in other regions, it may not grow. But in this particular area, it grows. That is in Kabale here in Uganda. But then that is in the western region. But then we also have the eastern Uganda. Now, eastern Uganda, we're looking at areas like Mbale, Mount Elgon, where it is around Mount Elgon side. This area received significant rainfall, partly on the mountain slopes. But then the beauty about this region also, it's one that produces most of the coffee. Yeah, it produces one of the best coffee here in Uganda that we sip on. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and of course we have some of these weather challenges like flooding, especially in low-lying and lakeside region, especially during the heavy rainfall. I just mentioned eastern Uganda. I think eastern Uganda has been hit with most of the landslides, which is very saddening. And then also part of western Uganda, especially in Kasese, if someone has heard of it, was Kasese, which hosts Mountain Rwenzori. In that particular area, also they have issues to do with flooding. They have rivers like River Nyamwamba that usually floods, and it's a disaster that side. But then we also have the drought. Occasionally in the areas to do with the northwestern, we have the Karamoja region. In this region, there is usually no rainfall at all for the entire year. Yeah,
wow.
That is yeah, for the entire year. So rainfall is sparse in this region. Actually, I should put it, they gave up on life. Actually, we call here Karamajong. Actually, we usually refer to it that don't be left behind like the Karamajong. It's a very sad reality. But in this region, it's because they hardly receive rainfall. Like in a year can go by when they've not received any kind of rainfall. When they receive it, actually, they call it's a miracle. Yeah, actually, they slaughter a cow to celebrate about it. So that's a very sad reality. But then we also have the storms, the thunderstorms, especially near Lake Victoria, because you get to see Lake Victoria is one of the biggest lakes, not just in Uganda, but in the world. It's one of the biggest basin lakes. So they're usually thunderstorms, especially, and our fishermen, they're usually the ones who are most affected in this particular area, that the storms just come out of nowhere and the boats capsized. Yeah, so which is one of those sad realities. So yeah, Uganda, I think I should say it's all within. But then the best time to visit, the best times we are looking at December, February. Then December to February is one of the best seasons. You can come around, and then you're looking at June to August. They're ideal for outdoor activities, safaris, is it ecotourism, and then trekking, of course, having a good time in Uganda.
That's amazing. So right now is the best time for the people who are listening to go there to support and plant some trees.
The best time. They have up to February to come and join in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool, very cool. Hey, I have still two questions. First of all, like when was there also a moment when, for example, you had a project planned and you planted some trees and then it did not work out for some reasons, and then you have been like devastated and thought like, okay, we have to learn from it. We can just grow from it and learn it and do it next time better. Have there been some how to call it in English? Have there been some moments that pushed you back and you felt like, oh shit, how do we go on from here? Like some hard moments also in your organization in general, not just by planting trees, but by other things that have been hard for you, like some moments that really had to that took every of your energy to move on. Has there been something like that as well already?
Yes, we've faced that before. There is a time we planned a project, and the resources were not enough, and we had to put everything on hold. What we had expected didn't come to life, but that taught us that probably we need more planning, which we have tried to learn now more. To do more planning, and that before we get into an activity, we have to be fully ready. We have all our funds ready. We have, if it meaning the partnerships, we have them ready on board. Yeah. And then another challenge that we faced has been the survival of these trees. After planting trees in certain area, that was in Imbale, we faced an issue of low survival rates. Yeah, that probably we could put it that the season which we planted in, it wasn't the right one. Yeah, it wasn't the right season. So, and there was inadequate rainfall, and the soils, they were not the best. Yeah, and there was lack of proper maintenance. You get to see that some of these areas where we plant, we have so many animals within these areas, per se the cows, the goats, you know. So these animals were allowed into this area, and the trees were eaten before they sprouted out. Yeah. So, but what we learned from that was that we learned that we need to improve on site assessment to ensure suitable conditions before planting. And then also we have to ensure the training for the community members on tree care. That's very important, because now we've initiated something to do with tree shields, that in case we plant in an area and we are not sure if animals will come, or if we are suspecting that probably animals would come in, so we put shields on these tree seedlings so that they are protected. And then also another thing that we learned was including drought resistant and native species to improve the survival rates, because you get to see now in an area which hardly receives rainfall, like I've mentioned some areas, then what next? So we have also learned to incorporate some of those species that are drought resistant so that they can tap into that problem. And then also another challenge, which I believe it takes time, is limited community engagement. That sometimes you get into an area and communities are not fully ready to embrace this. You know, someone says, okay, planting trees, what am I benefiting at the end of the day? So we are having challenges of the communities to fully be at the center of this. But then one thing that has really pushed us to get this learning, that's why we incorporated in the part of agroforestry systems to align with the farmers' needs, so that at the end of the day, we are able to tell you that you don't have to cut your trees, you don't have to cut your crops. No, let's incorporate this together. You plant your crops and you plant your trees all together. So at the end of the day, you're reaping two benefits. You'll get your trees when they're okay, and you'll get your crops when they're well yielded. So, so we are doing more trainings to understand now which type of trees do I plant with my crops, because not every tree can go well with these crops. So we are helping them plant some trees that can help them fix nitrogen in these soils with the crops, trees like Prunus africana and so many other beautiful species that really help our farmers to fully understand this and now be more invested. And someone is ready to say, okay, you're bringing for me Prunus africana. Okay, for that, I'm going down for it. I'll be fully interested. You're bringing fruits for me? Okay, yes, I'll need more mangoes. I need more oranges. I need more, giving them a feel to really now feel a part, not just bringing any other tree species. And then also considering their needs. It's very important. So in our needs assessment, we have to first understand as a farmer, what do you need? So we first do a needs assessment from them. What would you need? Which type of trees will you need mostly? If someone mentions personally, I would prefer the fruit trees. Then you're like, okay, you're in the right place. Because now with fruit trees, we have them, they're in plenty. So, and they're really, they serve all the purposes, they're able to help in both ways. So those are some of the areas we look into. Yeah. And then maybe another challenge that really we got affected with was, how do I put it? The organization growth. I think growth comes in brings with so many challenges. Like I mentioned, we are just barely 2 years or 4 years old, but then you get to see with so many, as an organization grows, you're looking at challenges to do with coordination, resource allocation, and maintaining the focus on our mission. I think it's something, because not everyone will be interested in the passion. I mean, be having so many people. Personally, I bring a lot of passion. Our founder brings in a lot of passion into this. But then is the team you're working with, are they having the same passion? Yeah. So with this growth, and then at the end of the day, you have to show up, you have to have an event to happen. So with this kind of rapid growth, it brings out that some people will feel like they're left out. Some people will feel like maybe we are doing something right, but this is not the right time to be on that. So such kind of things. But one thing I'm learning, it's telling me that we just have to focus on our strength that we are having. Yeah, that's very key. That if you have gotten some achievements, we can be proud of. And then also we've learned to invest more in capacity building for our teammates and our volunteers so that we can improve on our efficiency and teamwork.
That sounds great. Yes, I know these things when something is growing. You need to coordinate who fits, who wants, who has the same passion. It's a big question to ask, and that's really sometimes I think it's challenging, but at the same time it gives so many opportunities also to learn from it, like all challenges. Everything where we have challenges and face something that doesn't work out how we wanted it, then we can learn so much for the future. So thank you so much for everything you do. One last question for the podcast today. What would you like to pass on to our community? Like, what is your message to the community, to the listeners of the podcast? What do you want to share with them? A personal message from you. It can be anything. It can be something related to the organization, Treescape Planet. It can also be something personal that you just want to share with the world. To say, guys, we can do this. Like your beautiful name, what your name stands for. It's let's work together. That's already a beautiful message. What is your message for this podcast today, for the end of the podcast?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to share our story. That's very important. If I could pass on one message to our listeners and our community today in this podcast, I would say this. We all have a role to play in protecting our planet and ensuring a sustainable future for generations to come. Whether it's planting a tree, reducing waste, or supporting local conservation efforts, every small action makes a difference. At Treescape Planet, we believe in the power of community and the ripple effect that comes from working together. So let's continue to embrace the change we want to see in the world. And remember, the earth gives us so much, and it's our responsibility to give back. I mean, it's the least you can do. So I encourage everyone, let's get involved in environmental conservation, whether through supporting organizations like ours, or simply making more sustainable choices in daily life. Every action counts, and together we can create a lasting change for our planet. Thank you very much for supporting us and for helping us spread this message to the world.
Thank you so much, Bonnita. Thank you for your words. Thank you for everyone also who was listening today, for sharing this podcast, inviting your friends to listen to it. share it with everyone you want, and invite them to vote in the voting tool on the SANUSAPP this month. Like I said, Treescape Planet is on the voting tool as well. So check it out. Check out the show notes. There are the links to the podcast or the links to the website of the organization. You find all of the information there. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Bonnita, for your time. And all the best for your organization. We are looking forward to support you in different ways. We will see what we can do, and we work together, that's for sure. Thanks to everybody for listening. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.